This is Kim Farnsworth, and I'm calling you from ALA's Midwinter meeting in Philadelphia on behalf of YALSA and the Printz Committee. You can probably hear there's a bunch of us in the room, right? Hi! Yay! So we are pleased to inform you that YALSA's Printz Committee has named your book, Ordinary Hazards, a Memoir, as one of our honor titles.
All right!
Hi, Geraldine. This is Kim Farnsworth, and I'm calling you in America from YALSA's Midwinter meeting in Philadelphia on behalf of YALSA and the Printz Committee. Hello?
Oh, you want to speak a phone?
Yes. So we're all here. Hi, Mariko. This is Kim Farnsworth, and I'm calling you from YALSA's Midwinter meeting in Philadelphia on behalf of YALSA and the Printz Committee.
Oh my God!
Hi. So I have you on speakerphone.
I know this is just time. Oh my God!
So as you can probably hear, the whole committee is here with me, and we are pleased to inform you that YALSA's Printz Committee has named your book, Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, as one of our honor titles. Yay!
Yay! Oh, thank you so much. Oh my God. Get out of here! The baby next door. Holy shit! Okay, time out. Because I have an annoying man who's looking at me right
now. Hello, I'm Todd Krueger, President of the Young Adult Library Services Association, YALSA. I would like to welcome you to the Michael L. Printz program. We are here today to honor the 2020 Michael L. Printz Award winner and honor book winners, who are the 21st recipients of the Printz Award. Today, we will hear from our award-winning authors, creators, and translators. A.S. King, Nahoko Uehashi, Cathy Hirano, Mariko Tamaki, Rosemary Valero-O'Connell, Nikki Grimes, and Geraldine McCaughrean. They have sent videos of their acceptance speeches as well as answers to a short Q&A segment that will follow their speeches. I'd like to welcome our winning authors' families and friends and representatives of their publishers, Boyds Mills Kane, Macmillan Children's Publishers, and Penguin Random House, who are joining us. I would also like to thank a few people who have pivoted so quickly to make this virtual celebration possible. Our YALSA staff, in particular, Nicole O'Connor, and also Jordan Dubin and Amy Strittmatter from ALSC, the Association for Library Services to Children, who created this amazing event compiling so many of the recipients of the 2020 Youth Media Awards. Finally, I would like to thank Booklist, the sponsor of the Michael L. Printz Award. I will now turn the program over to Maggie Reagan, Booklist Books for Youth Associate Editor, and Kim Cowan Farnsworth, Chair of the 2020 Michael L. Printz Award Committee.
The Michael L. Printz Award is an annual award given for excellence in literature for young adults. Booklist magazine is proud to sponsor the Michael L. Printz Award. It's a true pleasure for the Booklist staff to work together with YALSA and honor the vibrant community of young adult literature. Thank you so much for joining us today to celebrate the award's newest winner and honor books.
I would like to take this opportunity to introduce my fellow committee members.
Tegan Beasy, hi.
Connie Polson-Holland, hello.
Hi, Elisa Garcia.
Kay Holmes, hello.
Connie Lynn, hi.
Hi, I'm Jenny Breezer.
Hi, I'm Stacey Shapiro.
Hello, I'm Cameron Riesenberger.
Hello, I'm the admin assistant, Suzanne Quirkin.
Hi again, I'm Maggie Reagan, the Booklist consultant.
It's never an easy task to select one winner and 4 honor books from the many excellent books read by members of award committees. But this group read diligently, discussed for hours, and came up with titles we are with the titles we are celebrating this evening.
Our first speakers today are Nahoko Uehashi and Cathy Hirano, honor book author and translator of The Beast Player, published by Godwin Books, Henry Holt, an imprint of Macmillan Children's Publishing Group. Orphaned Elin learns to use her ability to communicate with animals as she navigates through political unrest. The beauty and power of the natural world are at the heart of this captivating, nimbly translated Japanese fantasy. Nahoko and Cathy, please accept these awards.
獣の奏者をプリンス賞のオーナーに選んでいただきまして、本当にどうもありがとうございます。アメリカ図書館協会の皆さん、審査員の皆さん、この本をアメリカで出版してくださったヘンリー・ホルト社の皆さん、この物語を見事な英語に翻訳してくださった平野キャシーさん、この本を日本で出版するときに尽力してくださった講談社の皆さんに、まずは心から御礼申し上げます。本当にどうもありがとうございます。受賞の知らせを聞いたときにはびっくりしまして、本当って思いましたけれども、同時にものすごく嬉しい気持ちがこみ上げてきました。私は昨年作家生活30周年を迎えたんですが、同時に文化人類学者としても長年西オーストラリア州でフィールドワークをして先住民の皆さんと生活を共にしてきました。だから文化背景が違うとどんなことが違うかっていうことが実感として分かっています。だからこそ余計に日本で生まれ育った私が書いた物語がアメリカの読者にも面白いって思っていただけたっていうことが本当に嬉しいんです。日本では英米の文学、児童文学などの翻訳がとても盛んで、私も10代の頃から英米の児童文学を愛して育ちました。ルグインやスターリング・ノースやローズマリー・サトクリフ、トールキンなどの物語を愛して読んで育った私が書いた物語が今こうしてアメリカで文学賞を頂戴する夢を見てるみたいです。本当に幸せです。私は物語を書くときにプロットというものを作りません。大抵はとても印象的なイメージが頭の中に浮かんできて、そこから物語が始まります。獣の奏者の場合には車を運転していたときに何の脈絡もなくいきなり頭の中に崖の上に立っている女の人の姿が浮かんできたんです。風の強い夜で崖の下から風がふわーっと浮き上がってきていて、その女の人の髪の毛がふわっと揺れていたのを覚えています。彼女はちょっとうつむいて縦ごとを一生懸命こう弾いていて、この人は一体なんで縦ごとを弾いてるんだろうって思った時に、崖の向こう側にポツッポツッと目の光が見えたんですね。あそこに獣がいるって思って、そうか、この女の人はあの獣を眠らせるために縦ごとを弾いているんだって思いました。それで物語がすぐに書けたかというとそんなことはなくて、それから随分時間が経った時に、ある時お昼ご飯をレストランで食べてたんですけれども、その時に本を読んでたんですね。それが養蜂家が書いた本で、ミツバチについて、蜂蜜について書かれていた中で、ある日蜂蜜を絞ってみたら真っ赤な蜂蜜が出てきたと。一体なんでこうなったんだろうと思って調べてみたら、赤い野バラがたくさん咲いている時だったと。でそれを読んだ時に、そういえば蜂蜜って一体何だろうなって思ったんです。その瞬間に、蜂蜜って一体何なんだろうなって巣箱の前にしゃがんで思っている女の子の姿が目に浮かんできて、でその女の子を愛おしげに見下ろしているおじさんの姿も浮かんだんですね。でその瞬間に、この女の子がやがてあの崖の上に立つ女の人になるんだなって思いました。で、同時にそういえば蜂というのは群れで生きる社会的な生き物だ。人間もまた群れで生きる社会的な生き物だけれども、なんと違うんだろう。似ているところと違うところとが心の中に浮かんできて、世界中に満ちている生き物の 似ているところと違うところ、その葛藤などが心に浮かんできて、あ、書けるって思いました。これが獣の奏者が生まれた瞬間でした。今、新型コロナウイルスの感染拡大で、人と人とが触れ合うことがとても危険な行為になってしまっています。だからこそ余計に人と触れ合うということがとても大切なことなんだなっていうことをしみじみと感じるような気がします。今この時にとても遠い他者、違いがある、とても遠い他者に対しても手を差し伸べることを決して諦めることがなかったエリンの物語を遠いアメリカと日本の読者たちが読んでくださって物語を読むというとても小さいけれどもでもすごく大切な温かい光をこの物語を読むことで得ることができているのだとしたらこんなに幸せなことはありません。私は皆さんの幸せを心からお祈りしております。
Thank you so much for choosing The Beast Player as a Printz Honor Book. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to join the author in expressing my gratitude. As a translator, I'm used to being invisible. In my work, I actually strive to be unobtrusive, because a good translation is one that you don't notice. One that makes you feel like the book was written in the language you're reading, even if some things about it seem a little odd or different. As an introvert, I'm quite comfortable going unnoticed. But today, I'm glad to step out of my comfort zone, because I really do want to say thank you. Thank you to the American Library Association for recognizing The Beast Player as a literary work in its own right. Thank you to Henry Holt for believing in the value of publishing books in translation. Thank you to the editors, Laura Godwin and Rachel Murray, for the care you took to keep the integrity of the original. Thank you to my long-suffering family, friends, and fellow translators for answering my picky questions, giving me much-needed feedback, or simply encouraging me to carry on. And most of all, thank you to Nahoko Uehashi for writing such compelling stories and for your understanding and willingness to collaborate in the translation process. Congratulations to you. I moved from Canada to Japan when I was 20, knowing nothing of the country or the language. What followed was a crash course in Japanese culture, where everything I took for granted was upended. How to speak, how to think, how to behave, even how to open a door or use the toilet. To make things worse, I stuck out like a sore thumb. So no matter how hard I tried to fit in, for years I felt like an outsider. Why did I stay? Because I was fascinated by that process of learning to see life through the eyes of another culture. And it was the desire to let others see and experience another culture, another perspective, that made me a translator. I don't know if children still do this, but when I was a child, I used to wish on the evening star. My most ambitious wish was this, that the world would live in peace. I believed that wish would come true, but I thought it would take some miraculous, magical act. God or somebody would wave a magic wand and suddenly everyone would just get along. Then when I was 12, I discovered these words by a 19th century Persian named Baha'u'llah. The earth is but one country, and mankind its citizens. He didn't say the earth would someday be one country. He said it is one country. I was intrigued by the thought that we already are one human family, but our prejudices and assumptions blind us to seeing what we really are. I promised myself that when I grew up, I would travel the world and learn how to see like that. Japan was the first step on that journey. I never got any farther. There was too much to learn right here. I think it is this childhood longing, the desire to learn to really see, that draws me so strongly to The Beast Player. The story of Ellen, who seeks to free the royal beasts from being used as political tools and weapons. It's a powerful, thought-provoking tale that captures my experience as an outsider and as someone who is fascinated by, and sometimes a little afraid of, the unknown other. It explores issues that have become increasingly pressing, such as our relationship to nature and the use and abuse of power. And it explores the fundamental and universal questions that I've been pondering ever since I was a child. What's the meaning of life? Why can't we get along with each other? Are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over? The Beast Player and its sequel, The Beast Warrior, give me insight into these questions. Most importantly, they give me hope. Hope that we can change and grow individually and collectively. Hope that we will gradually come to see ourselves for what we really are, one human family, and learn to embrace our differences. I'm so very glad that you liked this book too. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mariko Tamaki, honor book creator of Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, illustrated by Rosemary Valero-O'Connell, published by First Second Macmillan Children's Publishing Group. Freddie is enamored with the magnetic Laura Dean, but their on-again, off-again relationship is far from healthy. Through soft-hued illustrations and cinematic scope, this graphic novel captures the intoxication of teenage love and the search for identity.
On behalf of myself and my distinguished co-creator, Rosemary Valero-O'Connell, I would like to thank you guys for giving us Printz Honors this year for Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. That was really amazing. I have to say, personally, that getting the phone call, because I knew there was a phone call this year, I really don't think there's any better way to wake up in the morning than with a phone call with a bunch of very excited librarians. So thank you for that. That was really cool. On behalf of Rosemary and myself, I would like to thank First Second Books, which is the birthplace of this graphic novel. Well, I mean, it was like born in our brains, and then it became a book with First Second. I'd like to thank Callista Brill, who was our editor, and who helped me especially turn a very long script into something that looked like a story. And all the people at First Second, all the people who work in design, promotion, all of that, I want to thank you guys. First Second is, First Second is pretty cool. I'm sure you guys already know that. I would like to thank Rosemary, who is just like a dream to work with, and who arrived in Berkeley. Like one of the first times that I met her as a co-creator, arrived in Berkeley and just like started sketching succulents, and I knew the book was going to be the coolest. So it was very hard to keep under wraps as I kept seeing these illustrations come in, because I knew you guys were going to love it. And then I also I want to thank my girlfriend, Heather Gold. You don't know her, but I pretty much can't do anything without her. She's super awesome. So yes, thank you, Heather. Yes. And I want to thank librarians. Librarians, you're very cool. I think you guys are the best. You're my favorite nerds. I think there's lots of different kinds of nerds. I think librarians have a good overlap, and I was really looking forward to seeing you guys and like showing you my outfits and then seeing your outfits. So I wore this so that you would sort of see at least kind of like the color scheme I'm working in right now. Also, you get to see my plants, which you wouldn't get to see if I was in Chicago with you guys. So there's that. So in closing, I miss you, librarians. I hope that you are all safe and well where you are, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Our next speaker is Nikki Grimes, honor book author of Ordinary Hazards, a memoir published by Wordsong and imprint of Boyds Mills Kane. Grimes' first memoir traces her development through a tumultuous childhood as she finds her voice as a powerful storyteller. Themes of family, belonging, and identity combine to tell a story of faith and resilience. Nikki, please accept this award.
Thank you. Ooh. So, this is what a Printz Honor feels like. It feels light, but actually, it's quite heavy, quite substantial. Especially because I won it for Ordinary Hazards, the single most difficult book I've ever written. And here's why. Prologue. I can't deal with crazy. Yeah, I know that's not politically correct, but when you're inches away from someone's mental and emotional avalanche, trust me, the word crazy is what comes to mind. I used to have a friend who stepped off and on the bipolar train, once too often for me to handle. Had to cut her loose, had to. I'd already taken that rough ride with my schizophrenic mother, and that's one ticket I will not buy again. It's a long story, but I'm a poet. I can cut it short. So my story begins. Now, readers always want to know how long it takes to write a story, and there's never a single right answer to that question. There's the time you spend gathering ideas, the time you invest in arranging those ideas into some sort of outline, the countless hours that go into crafting that original, terrible, rough draft, and finally the endless weeks and months you spend revising and revising and revising. And we won't even talk about copy editing. That's another discussion altogether. Suffice it to say, writing any story takes a long time. Then there's the answer you give when someone asks, how long does it take to write an autobiography or a memoir? The first answer is easy, all my life, because a memoir is the story of a lived life. Then in the case of Ordinary Hazards, the second answer is 39 years. I made my first stab at writing this story 39 years before its publication. And yes, this is the longest gestation period of my literary life. This memoir began as a collection of short stories, then morphed into a collection of personal essays, then transformed into a collection of poetry, and was finally reborn as a memoir in verse. Whew. It was an exceedingly long journey to arrive at my final destination, but it was a journey well worth taking. Just don't ask me to do it again. When I autograph copies of Ordinary Hazards, I always include the tagline, "Own your story." And I do that because by sending my memoir out into the world, I am owning my story. As hard as that was to do, there's nothing more powerful or liberating. And I wish that experience for everyone, whether you're sharing your story with family, with friends, or with the world. When you own your story and stand in your truth, you are able to navigate life from a place of strength. And by revealing your personal vulnerabilities, you allow others to reveal theirs and to grow more deeply into who they really are. To connect with readers on such an intimate level is a gift in itself. That said, I'm still more than happy to accept this lovely honor. I give my heartfelt thanks to the Printz Selection Committee. Thank you for recognizing this work and for honoring Ordinary Hazards in this most extraordinary way. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next video is Geraldine McCaughrean, honor book author of Where the World Ends, published by Flatiron Books, an imprint of Macmillan Publishers. In 1727, a group of men and boys from St. Kilda sailed to a remote sea sack on a fowling trip, only to find themselves stranded. McCaughrean's exceptional tale evokes the harsh beauty of its setting and the warm humor of its characters as they struggle to survive. Geraldine, please accept this award.
Thank you so much. It's at moments like this, close on the heels of happiness, comes guilt. I'm a charlatan. I'm here under false pretenses. I'm not a scholar or a university girl. And anyway, why do I get a reward just for doing the thing I like doing best? There's a lot of tosh talked, particularly by adult authors, about the blood, sweat and tears of writing a book. Publishing is an industry, but writing isn't. It's a play park. It's the circus. It's sitting in the darkened stalls of our imagination, watching our actors perform a story while we take notes. It's simply fun. Right now, I'm feeling more guilty than ever because while the rest of the world is in lockdown, I'm unforgivably happy because I'm writing a book, day in, day out. I'm an author. Authors are free range. They're exempt from lockdown. They have wings. I don't know why we got so lucky, but we can fly to the past, to the future, to all parts of the globe and beyond without risk, expenditure, or even a face mask. Authors aren't isolated. They're surrounded by characters busily going hither and yon, characters available to hug or hate or chase or rescue or cover in glory. Day and night they pester the author to clothe them in story. One of the worst things about the pandemic is that it's robbed people of control of their lives. But authors, we lucky souls, we retain absolute control over our inner kingdom. In the shower, in the garden, in the dead of night, we can escape fright and worry and boredom and the here and now. Best of all, we get to create our own satisfactory ending. With the help of a beloved editor, what we're writing might even get published, but it's kind of beside the point. The joy is all in the writing. Writing generates joy as solar panels generate energy. It's simply like having the muses round to breakfast every day. I wish I could have rowed out to the real live boys on St Kilda, marooned there in 1728, kept from their nearest and dearest at the worst of all possible times. I couldn't have helped them any more than I can narrow the distance between those currently parted from their loved ones. All I could do was to record in Where the World Ends that they existed and mattered, and that their names really ought to be on here. Reading, too, is an escape route from fret and boredom and anxiety. Surely it can't grant as much fun as an author gets, but with luck it does supply a reader with a holiday from the here and now, an excursion into unknown territory, a weekend break from reality. Maybe that's the very best reason for YA fiction right now. A host of characters tumbling out from between the pages of a book, prepared and even allowed to hug you and tickle you to the point of laughter, spit in your eye, get close up and personal, and deliver a satisfactory ending. Thank you from me and mine. And thank you most of all for the excuse of go on calling writing work, when surely the secret is out by now. It's simply the cushiest job in the whole wide world.
Our last video of the evening is from Michael L. Printz, award-winning author of Dig, published by Dutton Books for Young Readers, an imprint of Penguin Young Readers, a division of Penguin Random House, A.S. King. 5 teenagers' disparate lives weave together, unveiling long-buried secrets within a complex shared history. King's surrealistic narrative confronts themes of white privilege and its dark legacies. Amy, please accept the 2020 Michael L. Printz Award.
Thank you very much to the 2020 Michael L. Printz Committee, Booklist, YALSA, and the American Library Association for this unbelievable honor. I owe thanks to everyone at Dutton for not only this book, but for the grace, compassion, and support they have shown me over the last 18 months. Julie, Jen Loja, Carmela and Vanessa, Summer, Trevor and Rachel, Caitlin, Rob and Ann, Natalie and Melissa, and Samira for the beautiful covers you make for me. The list goes on forever at Dutton, but let me stop at my editor, Andrew Carr. Andrew, thank you. You were the one who understood me after 15 years and 500 plus rejection letters. I wouldn't be here today without you. I owe thanks to my agent and my family. Michael, you're a marvel. Family, you know who you are. I love you. Before I start, I want to give additional props to this year's committee. I am now one of 2 women who have won both a Printz Honor and a Printz Award. Before January 7th, 2020, there were exactly 0 women who had achieved this. The shock you heard in my voice when you called me was real. I was sure I would never see a woman, let alone me, pass this milestone the way that men had. Same as I have my doubts about living to see a female American president. I'm still not sure about the latter, but you proved to me that it's possible. For that, I thank you. When I was 14 years old, during a high school football game, a kid I knew walked up to me and a friend who were sneaking a cigarette behind the concession stand and bragged that his brother was burning a cross on the mountain that night and that we'd be able to see it from the stadium. That boy inspired Jake Marks. His older brother, who I saw recruiting white boys outside at least 4 high schools in my town, inspired Bill Marks. When I was 21 years old, I moved into an apartment on 3rd Street in Reading, Pennsylvania. It's my hometown. I just earned my photography degree and had a $7 an hour job printing pornography, race cars, and furniture catalogs, in that order. My husband arrived from Ireland in December, and he also got a $7 an hour job in a kitchen factory. In January, it snowed, and we couldn't afford a shovel, so our neighbor Mike loaned one to us. He was a nice guy. I knew Reading well, even though I grew up miles out in the rural suburbs. I delivered pizza in the city for years and met a lot of really interesting people that way, one of whom was a man named Roy, a Grand Dragon of the Pennsylvania Ku Klux Klan and longtime member of the American Nazi Party. Why did he interest me? Because I didn't understand him. Same as I still didn't understand the kid and his brother from the football game when I was 14, and I didn't understand my neighbor Mike when summer came and I saw his ugly white power tattoo. People are puzzles. That's why I write books. It's why I write challenging, weird books, because people are challenging, weird puzzles. Here's a puzzle. Why do white people think that these people are the racists? Why do they not dive deeper into American racism and find where they fit in? Because we do fit in, every one of us. Here's a puzzle. Why are normal, everyday white people so scared and defensive when you bring them this concept? Why, with all the power and control we have, are we so fragile about dealing with, talking about, and educating about the real and full history of America? And why hasn't time brought us solutions? Of course, we know the white supremacy of America is a machine. It will continue to run the way it's always run because it serves, well, white people, the very people who invented it. And when we look now, outraged at our country's divisive fuckery, then we need to remember that it was us who started it, by buying humans and killing humans. As white people in modern America, this is our sin now, passed through generations who have yet to repent in real time. Everything we have, even if it's barely anything, we got through the annihilation and enslavement of other people. Our control and power in our world were not earned. We were lucky. Which brings me to potatoes. I have a confession to make. For 10 years, I was one of many people who would correct the Wikipedia page for Ireland's Great Potato Famine. The victors write the history, which is why the white people I was just talking about, you and me, are so ignorant to the realities of our own country's history. And so it is with all countries that have been colonized. Fact, that blight spore stretched 2,000 miles and ruined potato crops from Ireland all the way to Prussia. The only place people died from it in massive numbers was Ireland. The thousands of English army horses there ate just fine. Army commanders and landlords there, downright satiated. There are dockets that show fat tonnage of food farmed by starving people shipped back to England. To say the potato blight caused the death of a quarter of the Irish population is incorrect. People killed a quarter of the Irish population. They wanted to. That's called genocide. It wasn't the first or last time this happened to the Irish people. To some of you listening, this may sound downright political or provocative, and that's because the victors set it up that way. They want you to think that it's just not possible for anyone to do such an awful thing without good reason. They blame the losers. There are Irish history school books that imply that the Irish died in the famine because they were too stupid to stay alive. And that's really no more shocking than the fact that I had a primary school teacher tell me at age 11 that slaves came to America to engage in the free enterprise system. We are often willfully dumb. It serves to keep the machine rolling. When young people come to us in places of outrage about this topic, we are smug about the mortgage and our pending divorces, myopic, tuned out. We claim they're going through a phase. I'm assuming the phase is called giving a shit about the truth. I am fascinated by generational inheritance. Everything from how we hold our forks to how we see and judge the world around us comes from the generations who trained us. We are now in generation 15 in America. 15 generations of families thriving or struggling, 2 cars and a split-level government housing and processed cheese. The rich hover above us with the strings, and oh, we dance for them. But as Americans, the trauma of stolen people and stolen land seeps into our feet as we walk. It's in the air we breathe. We can't get away from it. If I've learned anything from piecing together the puzzle of trauma my whole life, it's that you can't run from it. Even if it isn't yours, a country founded on trauma will produce more trauma. My theory is it's finally catching up with us. My feelings on that? It's about time. Because I've survived abuse, I know a lot about how abusers work. White America, you're being abused by your generational inheritance. You're in a quiet, polite cult. It's called the "my family never owned slaves" cult. It's called the "but I love Stevie Wonder" cult. It's called the "but I have black friends" cult. Stop it. Stop it now and look at it beyond your own body, shaking with anger or discomfort. In my words, take in the vista. You didn't make the white supremacy we live in. You are only its willing caretaker. You may resign at any time. In order to grow, you must face uncomfortable things. Your mistakes, the mistakes of others. You must, in short, feel bad. Feeling bad leads to great things. Feeling bad leads to atonement and apology. Feeling bad leads to truth. Facing and finding yourself. Forgiveness and ultimately love. And let's dissect the puzzle of love, because that's what Dig is really about. The slow decline of love in our world and who it hurts the most. That would be the children. If we teach them hate, they learn hate, whether it's racist hate, religious hate, or hate of their Aunt Wanda because you talk shit about her all the time when they can hear you. Judgmentalism is killing us. Kate Tempest says, the tragedy and pain of a person that you've never met is present in your nightmares and you're pulled towards despair. That's true. Our selfish, me-obsessed culture has distanced us from community and compassion. We is us and them. And our young people are feeling more and more isolated because by the time we fully deny the trauma we have seeping through the soles of our sandals, we are too late to help them. Deep inside, they feel pain they don't understand, the runoff of our inability to face ourselves. On top of that, their day-to-day pain goes unsaid because adult privilege has an eye roll problem, which has now brought teen mental illness to epidemic numbers. However, did we get to be so grown and yet so stunningly dumb? Because no one has put a stop to the gaps and the lies in our textbooks, or to the fallacy that we can make a place that was never great for all its people great again. If we fed our children poison, we would be considered evil, and yet we have textbooks full of poison, Victor's poison. The potential this country contains to change and love is always there. Hope is always there. We can grow it. But hope is an impossible hurdle without love, and love is an impossible hurdle without truth, and truth is an impossible hurdle without humility. What is Generation 15 inheriting if we don't humble to the truth and talk to them about it? They are inheriting a rotten lie that will keep them comfortable while under the surface they are teeming with inexplicable trauma. Whether that makes them angry, depressed, anxious, scared, cocky, cynical, or just confused, they will figure out in time that they were handed an impossible puzzle. And like the 14 generations before them, they will have to make a choice to hand that same lie down to their children for the sake of their comfort, or to finally stop the cycle of abuse. My job is to tell the truth. It's what young people deserve. My job is to help them understand what's wrong, where it came from, what to do with it, and who to talk to about it. My job is to shine light on hope and help young people feel less alone. This award will help me continue to do that. For that, I will be forever grateful.
We're now going to do a short Q&A with the authors. The first question we have for them: what influences did you have while writing your book?
Memoir is one of my favorite genres to read, and my absolute favorite memoir is The Liars Club by Mary Karr. I very much had this book on my mind as I dove into my own memoir. Mary Karr and I both experienced some horrific, heartbreaking challenges in childhood, so her story resonated with me on a very deep level. But I also resonated with her painful honesty and the dynamic quality of her voice, two elements that I wanted to bring to my own work. And I thought about James Baldwin too, because he talked to me about the importance of writing in a way that was uncompromising. I think both influences showed up on the pages of Ordinary Hazards. At least, I hope they did.
What influences did I have writing this book? I'm glad you asked. A lot of this book was influenced by the 90s, because that's when I was a teenager. So a lot of it is My So-Called Life and Freaks and Geeks, and basically every lesbian movie that was ever made basically was my influence, in part because I think a lot of them were about falling in love, and I thought it would be cool to write something about what happens after you fall in love, and if it's potentially with the wrong person. I thought that would make a good book. And you guys agreed, so that's awesome. And what else? Oh, I'm Canadian, so obviously, Canadian literature. Like Alice Munro. Alice Munro is like my, I want to say like my influence, it's like more like my obsession. So there's that as well.
What influences did you have while writing your book?
Well, my chief influence to write it in the first place was being given this gorgeous book by Judith Shalansky, who is a cartographer as well as a writer. And on every page there's a dozen anecdotes that you could turn into a book. Add to this the fact that my daughter went off on an excursion to St Kilda and came back absolutely extolling its beauty and its peace and its solitude. And she immediately wrote a play because she's an actress, and I didn't, because I'm not. I wrote a book. But we didn't compete on the content, though, at all. You don't need to with St Kilda. There's a lot to say about St Kilda's history. Islands lend themselves very well to fiction as well. The setting's contained, the characters are cut off from help or interference, self-reliance comes into play. And there's always the sea, that mesmeric element that we half adore and half fear. The only actual historical source I had was a line and a half in an old history book. Well, it's diary really. But that's good. That's good because the less fact there is to weigh down the plot, the more a book can fly. My challenge once I'd started was to incorporate a female perspective because I try never ever to write a boy book or a girl book.
もう随分前に書いたものですから覚えていないんですが、物語が浮かんでくるきっかけになった本として、この養蜂家の人が書いたミツバチに関する本、この本のことがやっぱり一番印象に残っています。
Well, pretty much everything is an influence as I write books, everything I hear and see. For Dig, I read a lot of history books or other books, kind of about everything from white fragility to the history of potatoes. I suppose the biggest influence was my own facing of the truth. I started to see just how deep the dipstick of white supremacy goes in this country and therefore in me and any other well-meaning white person. In short, all the way, that's how far the dipstick goes. So halfway through the book, though, I was struggling, and I went to KidLeCon in Wichita, and I met a lovely woman named Pam Brown-Margolis. And Pam is a librarian and educator from Philadelphia. Paula really thought that we should meet, and she was absolutely right. And after dinner, we stayed around, hung out in the bar, had a few drinks, and there was this gaggle of white people that were watching a sports game on the television, and I guess a team scored, and they just freaked out, and they got really obnoxious and really loud, and they kind of wouldn't shut up. And so after looking back a few times, I turned back to Pam and I said, white people. And Pam, being a woman of color, replied, those are your people. And that really started a journey toward my own awakening to the fact that no matter how anti-racist I am, no matter how long or hard I've explored this topic in my life, I was still willingly dumb to my own whiteness. And that scene was a huge influence on the book and probably the force that propelled me to kind of finish it in the way that I did.
Our next question is, were there other books, writers, music, art, etc. that inspired you as you worked on your book?
Well, initially, the book I envisaged was kind of Lord of the Flies turned on its head. The Kildians being such devout, gentle people, I was thinking that boys might create an ideal society in the midst of their tribulations, thinking that the world was coming to an end. But very quickly it didn't work, because without conflict there's no tension. The good guys need villains to overcome, and the sea and the weather just aren't enough. I sometimes do use emotive music, and in this case Elgar, Tchaikovsky, or recordings of Gallic song. But I rarely use them while I'm writing, because music messes with the cadence of sentences, and that's the very reason I don't read much when I'm writing a book, because you can catch another author's voice as easily as you can catch flu. Of course, photographs of Stack and Armin, this massive sea stack that comes out of the sea like a breaching whale, and it's actually very beautiful and in a stark and terrifying way. I had those around me because they reminded me that at all times life would have been immensely perilous. It was all about climbing up or climbing down. Hardly anything's on the level. Oh, and of course my chief influence, as always, is the fact that I let my characters take a hand and tell me what contribute their ideas, I suppose. I know that sounds a bit twee and implausible, but very strangely, they just do.
Were there other books, writers, music, art, etc., that inspired you as you worked on your book?
Were there any other books or writers, music, art that inspired you as you worked on the books? Yes, very much so. Kate Tempest is a poet, Shakespearean scholar, and hip-hop artist from South London. Her album, Let Them Eat Chaos, is deeply enmeshed in this book. If there was a soundtrack to Dig, this would probably be it. Michael Pollan's book, The Botany of Desire, as well, was not only fascinating, but it totally started my research of how the potato plant and colonialism and America's white supremacy, how they all connect. So that was hugely helpful. Art, I did go, Paula Gallagher, epic librarian, took me to the AVAM, the American Visionary Art Museum in Baltimore. And that really changed. I've been there a good few times since. There was a show by a fellow named Matt Ciso there, and actually he really helped me remember that I could make my own choices in form and structure and the rawness, right, of those decisions. So that was helpful. And then on a larger scale, 4 years before, I guess right before I started writing the book, so maybe 6 months before, but 4 years before it was done, Robert Altman's film Shortcuts. It's one of my favorites. I actually own a VHS, a PAL VHS, and a DVD of this. But after I rewatched it about 4 years ago, I turned to Topher and I said, I want to structure a book like this. And he first checked my oxygen levels. After that, he smiled because he knows that if I say that, I'm going to try. And I did, and I feel like I did it. And I never kept it conscious, but it wasn't in the front of my mind, but it was always in the back of my mind because I love that film and I love what it does structurally.
もうあんまり覚えていないんですけれど、ただ獣の奏者を書いていた間は生物学とかそれから生態学に関する本をたくさん読んでたなと思います。その中の描写などにこういう面白いことがあるんだなって思ったりしてインスパイアされたことはあったかもしれません。
Well, this book is a little bit of a love letter to the East Bay, to Berkeley and Oakland, where I currently reside, which is, I think, one of the more beautiful places to live. So part of it is that. I listen to a lot of music, a lot of Florence and the Machine, a lot of Slater-Kinney, a lot of La Tigra. Yeah, a lot of that. Feist was very much an influence. Indigo Girls, I'll be honest, a lot of Indigo Girls were my influences. Yes. And then I just rewatched My So-Called Life. I'm pretty sure that's how.
And our last question for the authors, what are you reading or working on right now?
私は日本の文化人類学会の学会賞というのを頂戴しまして、本来なら学会で、授賞式で受賞のスピーチをしなければいけないんですが、今新型コロナウイルスの影響でこちらも学会を開くことができなくて、私は動画を作らなければいけなくて今それを一生懸命作っています。で、これまで考えていなかった自分の物語と文化人類学の関係というのを見直してみるいい機会になってるかな。
After the intensity of working on Ordinary Hazards, I felt the impulse to write something light, something joyful. And so I've turned to picture books. More specifically, I'm working on nature-themed picture books because nature is a great solace for me. So that's what I'm working on now.
I'm glad you asked. I am currently trying to support local bookstores. And so actually I recently put in an order at Booksmith in San Francisco. And I asked them to send me kind of a wild card. So they sent me a book by Deborah Levy, and I'm loving it. It's amazing. Reading a lot of poetry and a lot of comics. I just finished Jean Yang's Dragon Hoops, which is amazing. And I highly recommend you read it. And I'm also reading A.S. King's Dig, which is so good. It's so good. I mean, it's maybe good that I'm not there in person, because I would just be super fangirling in a very embarrassing way about Dig, because Dig is amazing. You should read it. I mean, you've read it. You probably already read it. So there's that. What am I working on? I'm working on Wonder Woman for DC Comics with Michael Janin. I'm working on Willow comic with Natasha Bustos. I'm working on a lot of amazing new books with Shirley Books. We're editing books for you guys that I hope that you're also going to love. I'm writing a novel, working on my novel, which just sounds like such a cool thing to say, working on your novel. It's very taxing though. So my novel, Who Live, which will hopefully be finished soon, and hopefully it'll be finished, and then we'll all be hanging out together, and that'll be really cool.
What are you reading or working on right now?
I'm reading at the moment. What am I reading? I'm reading mostly poetry translations, and I'm rereading an early Vonnegut book because I found there was a line in it that ended up being an epigraph in my work in progress. So I had to read the book, of course, to see how it fit, or reread the book. And what am I working on? I am working on a novel entitled Switch, at least for the moment. It's about energy and people and lies, and a man who is building a people-sized plywood labyrinth inside his house. It's also about a girl, his daughter, with an extraordinary power when it comes to throwing a javelin. It's also about the effects of sibling psychological abuse. It's also about Robert Plutchik, an American psychologist of the 20th century who invented the psychoevolutionary theory of basic emotions. Also about Zeno of Elia, Piaget, Zimbardo, and Maslow. So, it's a romantic thriller, obviously.
I'm currently working on a book I'm enjoying so much that I've lost all judgment as to whether it works or not. My editor looked a little trepidatious when I talked about the premise, but anyway, it's in me, and I've got to go on writing because I know the characters now, and I can't abandon them till I've given them closure. Thank you ever so much for your questions and for being there to listen to them.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.